The Genesis of the Yoruba People, a documentary narrative. Chapter 1. In the beginning, the Yoruba worldview of creation. The story of the Yoruba people, one of the largest ethnic groups in West Africa, stretches back into the ancient and mythic past. According to Yoruba cosmology, the genesis of the Yoruba people is intricately tied to the creation of the universe, a tale woven into the fabric of their religion, culture, and identity. The Yoruba believe in a supreme being called Olodumare, who is regarded as the creator of the heavens and the earth. Olodumare, the source of all life, is distant from direct human affairs, but is the ultimate authority over the universe. In Yoruba mythology, Olodumare assigns specific tasks to a pantheon of deities known as the Orishas, each of whom governs various aspects of nature, life, and society. At the heart of this story is the creation of the earth itself, which is said to have taken place in a region that is now modern-day Ile-Ife, an ancient city in southwestern Nigeria that is regarded as the cradle of the Yoruba civilization. In Yoruba cosmology, the earth was formless and covered in water, a vast primordial sea. Olodumare gave the task of shaping the earth to the Orisha Obatala, who was to descend from the heavens and create the solid ground on which humans would live. Obatala set out with a divine chain, descending from the sky with a snail shell full of sand, a white hen, and a chameleon. As Obatala descended, he scattered the sand on the waters, and the hen spread it out with her feet, creating the first dry land. This land would become Ile-Ife, the sacred city where the Yoruba people believe life began. When Obatala planted the chameleon on the ground, it took a few steps, testing the stability of the land, and from that moment, the earth was formed. However, Obatala's mission was interrupted when, tired from his labors, he drank palm wine and fell into a deep slumber. The task of molding the first humans fell to Orunmila, another Orisha, who completed the task but left the humans without souls. Olodumare, in his wisdom, breathed life into them, thus creating humanity. This mythic beginning unearths the profound belief of the Yoruba people in the connection between the divine and the human, with every person carrying within them a spark of the divine essence. Chapter 2. The Divine Kingdom of Ile-Ife, Birth of Yoruba Civilization. The city of Ile-Ife is not just the geographical center of the Yoruba world. It is the spiritual nexus, believed to be the site where the first human, Oduduwa, descended to establish order on earth. In Yoruba tradition, Oduduwa is a legendary figure, considered the progenitor of the Yoruba people and the first king of Ile-Ife. There are different versions of the Oduduwa narrative. In one account, Oduduwa is sent by Olodumare to complete the creation of the world. After Obatala's failure, armed with a cockerel, a palm nut, and a handful of earth, Oduduwa descends from the heavens on a golden chain to Ile-Ife, where he plants the palm nut and forms the beginnings of the human civilization. The palm tree that grew from this nut became the symbol of the Yoruba kingdoms spread across West Africa. Oduduwa's reign at Ile-Ife marked the beginning of the Yoruba kingship system, known as Obaship. From Ile-Ife, Oduduwa's children and descendants spread across what is today southwestern Nigeria, founding other powerful Yoruba kingdoms such as Oyo, Ijebu, Egba, and Ondo. Each of these kingdoms traced their lineage back to Oduduwa, reinforcing Ile-Ife's central role as the spiritual home of the Yoruba people. The descendants of Oduduwa are said to have received sacred crowns from him, symbolizing their divine right to rule. These crowns, imbued with religious significance, are still in use today by traditional Yoruba kings, or Obas. Ile-Ife remains a holy city for the Yoruba, and the Uni of Ife, the spiritual and political leader of the Yoruba people, is considered the direct descendant of Oduduwa. The city is adorned with ancient sculptures, including the famous Ife bronze heads, which reveal the high level of artistic sophistication achieved by the Yoruba at an early stage in their history. Chapter 3. The Kingdom of Oyo, Rise of a Yoruba Empire. While Ile-Ife holds the spiritual heart of the Yoruba people, the city of Oyo became the political powerhouse, transforming into a vast empire that would dominate large parts of West Africa for centuries. The rise of the Oyo Empire is one of the most remarkable episodes in Yoruba history, marked by military might, diplomacy, and a sophisticated political structure. The Oyo Empire traces its roots to the legendary figure Oranian, or Aramian, who is said to be a son or grandson of Odujuwa. Oranian is credited with founding the city of Oyo after leaving Ile-Ife to explore new lands. The city was located in the Savannah region of present-day Nigeria, giving the Oyo people access to both the forest and savanna resources. Oyo's rise to power was due in part to its well-organized military, which relied heavily on cavalry. A unique feature in the forested regions of West Africa, Oyo's cavalry was feared across the region, enabling the empire to expand its influence over neighboring kingdoms. By the height of its power in the 17th and 18th centuries, the Oyo Empire controlled a vast territory, including parts of modern-day Benin, Togo, and Ghana. The governance of Oyo was based on a complex and balanced system of checks and balances, with the Alafin, or king, wielding power in conjunction with the Oyo Messi, a council of powerful chiefs. This council had the authority to check the king's power, and if an Alafin was deemed tyrannical or ineffective, the Oyo Messi could demand his suicide, a unique feature of Yoruba political tradition. The existence of this system of governance demonstrated the sophisticated nature of Yoruba political institutions. The Oyo Empire was also a hub for trade, controlling key trade routes that linked the interior of West Africa with the coast. Oyo's wealth came from commerce in goods such as kola nuts, textiles, and, unfortunately, slaves, a trade that would eventually contribute to the empire's decline as European influence grew along the West African coast. Chapter 4. The Religious Heritage of the Yoruba, Orisha Worship and Divination. Yoruba religious beliefs are one of the most vibrant aspects of their culture, rooted in a deep sense of spirituality that connects the physical world with the divine. At the core of Yoruba religious practice is the worship of the Orishas, deities who serve as intermediaries between humans and Olodumare. Each Orisha governs different aspects of life and nature. Shango, the god of thunder and lightning, represents justice, power, and kingship, and is especially revered in Oyo, where he was believed to be a historical king who later became deified. Ogun, the god of iron and war, is associated with hunters, warriors, and blacksmiths. Yemoja, the goddess of the sea, is revered as the mother of all Orishas, symbolizing fertility and motherhood. Asu, the trickster and messenger of the gods, plays a pivotal role in Yoruba cosmology, acting as the divine mediator who ensures balance and harmony between the gods and humanity. Central to Yoruba religion is the system of Ifa divination, a complex method of communication with the divine that allows people to seek guidance from the Orishas. The Babalawo, or priest, plays a crucial role in interpreting the will of the gods through intricate divination rituals. The Ifa system, recognized by UNESCO as a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage, represents one of the most sophisticated divination systems in the world, using verses called Odiu Ifa to convey knowledge, wisdom, and ethical principles. The influence of Yoruba religion has spread far beyond West Africa. Through the transatlantic slave trade, Yoruba religious traditions took root in the Americas, evolving into syncretic religions such as Santeria in Cuba, Candomblé in Brazil, and Vodou in Haiti. These religious systems still maintain a strong connection to the Orishas and reflect the resilience of Yoruba spiritual heritage. Chapter 5. The Modern Yoruba Identity, a Culture of Resilience and Innovation. As one of the largest and most influential ethnic groups in Africa, the Yoruba have faced significant historical challenges, including colonialism, slavery, and internal conflict. Yet, their culture and identity have remained remarkably resilient. The British colonization of Nigeria in the late 19th century had profound effects on Yoruba society. While traditional institutions, such as the obiship, were maintained, the British imposed indirect rule, which altered the power dynamics within Yoruba polities. Despite these disruptions, Yoruba culture continued to thrive, adapting to new realities while maintaining a strong sense of identity. Yoruba culture has produced some of Africa's most prominent intellectuals, writers, and leaders. Figures such as Obafemi Awolowo, one of the architects of Nigerian independence, and Wole Soyinka, the Nobel Prize-winning playwright, have made significant contributions to global thought and politics. Yoruba art, music, and literature are also celebrated worldwide. The rhythms of Afrobeat. Chapter 6. Yoruba Resilience in the Face of Slavery and Colonialism. The Yoruba people's endurance through the transatlantic slave trademarks, one of the most painful yet transformative chapters in their history. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, countless Yoruba men, women, and children were captured and sold into slavery, particularly during periods of internal conflict and the collapse of the Oyo Empire. Despite the brutal conditions of slavery in the Americas, Yoruba captives carried with them their language, religion, and culture, preserving and reshaping their identity in foreign lands. In places like Brazil, Cuba, Haiti, and the Caribbean, the Yoruba worldview evolved into new cultural expressions. Enslaved Yoruba people contributed significantly to the formation of Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Cuban, and Haitian Vodun cultures, particularly through their Orisha worship, which merged with elements of Catholicism to create unique, syncretic religions like Candomblé and Santeria. Yoruba religious and cultural practices survived across the ocean through oral tradition, dance, music, and art, becoming pillars of resistance and cultural pride for African-descended people in the Americas. The 19th century also saw the arrival of Saro and Aguda people, Yoruba, freed slaves who had been repatriated to West Africa after the abolition of slavery. These returnees brought with them new ideas about Christianity, commerce, and modern governance, which had a significant impact on Yoruba cities such as Lagos and Abeokuta. They played pivotal roles in transforming these areas into cosmopolitan hubs of trade and culture in the British colonial era. Chapter 7. Yoruba Identity in the Colonial and Post-Colonial Period. The colonial period introduced profound changes to Yoruba society. When the British established Nigeria as a protectorate in 1914, they utilized the existing Yoruba monarchical system but fundamentally altered the power dynamics of traditional Yoruba society. Through indirect rule, this system allowed British officials to govern through Yoruba kings and chiefs, creating tensions between traditional leadership structures and the colonial government. British policies often privileged certain groups and undermined others, leading to internal political rivalries that persisted into the post-colonial era. Yet, the Yoruba showed remarkable adaptability. While the colonial system was foreign, many Yoruba leaders, especially those educated in Western schools, saw opportunities to negotiate their people's future within the new order. Figures like Herbert Macaulay and Obafemi Awolowo emerged as influential political leaders advocating for self-rule, with Awolowo's ideas significantly shaping Nigerian federalism. His political party, the Action Group, dominated politics in the Western region, advocating for Yoruba autonomy and development within the newly independent Nigeria. Awolowo's vision extended beyond politics. He championed education, believing that intellectual empowerment was the key to liberating the Yoruba people from colonial oppression. As premier of the Western region, Awolowo pioneered free primary education, making the region a leader in literacy and education in Nigeria. This emphasis on education has had a lasting impact on Yoruba society, producing generations of leaders, scholars, and professionals who have made significant contributions to Nigerian and global affairs. Chapter 8. Cultural Renaissance, Yoruba Art, Music, and Literature. In the 20th and 21st centuries, Yoruba culture has undergone a renaissance, influencing not only Nigerian society, but also the global cultural scene. Yoruba art, with its deep historical roots, has been recognized internationally for its unique aesthetic and spiritual depth. The famous Ife bronzes and terracotta heads from Ile-Ife, which date back to the 12th and 14th centuries, are widely regarded as some of the most important artifacts of African art, symbolizing the artistic prowess of ancient Yoruba civilizations. The Yoruba artistic tradition has evolved in modern times through painting, sculpture, and contemporary forms of expression. Nigerian artists like Bola Olaniyan, Bruce Anobrikpia, and Demola Ogunajo have gained international recognition for their work, often drawing on Yoruba mythology, symbolism, and folklore to create art that speaks to both local and global audiences. Perhaps the most prominent global ambassador of Yoruba culture is Afrobeat, a musical genre pioneered by Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Fela, a Yoruba musician, created Afrobeat by fusing traditional Yoruba rhythms, jazz, highlife, and funk, using his music to critique political corruption and social injustices. His music continues to inspire generations of musicians globally, including contemporary stars like Burna Boy and Wizkid, who draw heavily on Yoruba culture in their music. In literature, the Yoruba language and worldview have also produced some of the most celebrated African writers. Wole Soyinka, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986, has written extensively about Yoruba history, culture, and spirituality. His plays, poems, and essays explore the tensions between tradition and modernity, between the sacred and the profane, and between African identity and colonial legacies. Other notable Yoruba writers, such as Amos Tutwola and Femi Osafusin, have contributed to a rich body of Yoruba literature that continues to engage readers worldwide. Chapter 9. The Yoruba Diaspora, Global Connections and Identity. The Yoruba people, through the transatlantic slave trade and modern migration, have established vibrant communities around the world. From the Americas to Europe and beyond, the Yoruba diaspora has maintained a deep connection to their cultural roots while adapting to new environments. In countries like Brazil, Cuba, and Haiti, the Yoruba influence is most evident in religious practices, music, and festivals. Candomblé in Brazil and Santeria in Cuba, for example, are living testimonies to the endurance of Yoruba religious traditions, with ceremonies honoring the orishas practiced by millions. In New York, London, and other global cities, Yoruba-speaking communities continue to celebrate their culture through events like the Egungun Festival, showcasing masquerades that honor the spirits of the ancestors. Yoruba identity in the diaspora is often expressed through art, cuisine, and language. As descendants of enslaved Africans and contemporary migrants alike preserve and adapt their traditions. Modern technology has further enhanced the global connection among Yoruba people, with social media platforms allowing the younger generation in the diaspora to engage with their roots and even learn the Yoruba language through online courses and cultural programs. Chapter 10. The Yoruba in Contemporary Nigeria, Challenges and Opportunities. In contemporary Nigeria, the Yoruba remain a dominant cultural and political force. The Yoruba-speaking states of Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo continue to play pivotal roles in Nigeria's economy and politics. Lagos, the most populous city in Africa and the economic heart of Nigeria, has emerged as a global metropolis, with Yoruba entrepreneurs, politicians, and creatives leading in various sectors, from entertainment to finance. Despite their successes, the Yoruba face significant challenges in contemporary Nigeria, including political marginalization, economic inequality, and ethnic tensions. The Yoruba Council of Elders and groups like Afinifere, a Yoruba socio-political organization, continue to advocate for greater political representation and regional autonomy within Nigeria's federal structure. Calls for restructuring and even secession, as seen in the Oduduwa Republic movement, reflect the frustrations of some Yoruba, who feel that their interests are not adequately represented in the current political system. Conclusion. The enduring legacy of the Yoruba. The Yoruba people, with their rich history, complex cosmology, and enduring cultural heritage, remain one of the most influential ethnic groups in Africa and the African diaspora. From the ancient city of Ile-Ife to the modern streets of Lagos, from the bronze sculptures of the past to the global sounds of Afrobeat, the Yoruba have left an indelible mark on the world. Their resilience, creativity, and adaptability have allowed them to thrive in the face of adversity, ensuring that Yoruba identity continues to flourish both in Nigeria and beyond. Today, the Yoruba legacy endures, not just through historical monuments and cultural traditions, but through the contributions of its people to the global stage, reinforcing the idea that the Yoruba story is far from over. Indeed, it is still being written.